Right, so next part of the episode, we've got the old man on, Mark, Dad.
Afternoon all.
He's here. He's the reason why we are West Ham mad. You come out to Ghent with us, didn't you?
I did indeed. We had a ball out there, didn't we?
Which was an absolute belter. Mm-hmm. Obviously, couldn't make it out there. Mum's 50th birthday. Sometimes you've got to prioritise things in life.
Yeah, if I still wanted to survive, then I had to put my priorities right.
I mean, look, there's loads of people that obviously watched it from home and watched the parade the day after that weren't in Prague, and you know, you're going away next week anyway, aren't you? So lots to talk about. But what's good is to get it from your perspective, Dad, of actually watching it from home.
Yeah,
because the amount of games we've watched at home together.
Yeah, we've watched thousands of games at home.
Literally. Talk me through pre-match. Talk me through the first 10 minutes. Talk me through the game.
Pre-match, the only way I could really cope with it was I went over to the pub at about 4.
Yeah.
Had a few beers, come back, put it on, and there was this pre-thing with Colton Carl and Joe Cole and all that, which was good.
You actually remember
and
it?
And it's parts of it was good. And then it went live at about, I think it was about 6 o'clock. It went live, lots and lots of build-up. For me, it was sort of like just going back. It just felt like 2006 or Blackpool again, all over again. But it had a different edge to it, you know?
Do you remember, I know you was 10, do you remember the 80 Cup final?
I do remember the 1980 Cup final, and I remember sitting on the living room floor in my house with my mum and my dad, with my crossed legs, sitting about 3 inches away from our TV screen that looked like a wooden box. And it was just amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And then the next day, my dad took me to East Ham Town Hall, and we stood opposite the balcony at East Ham Town Hall, where East Ham College is. And he had me on his shoulders, and they all come out and waved the cup, and it was just a fantastic.
You don't forget that, do you?
No,
you don't forget that.
I'll never ever forget that as long as I live. It was great.
Yeah. But so go on. Let's talk about the first half, because the real talking point is obviously the fact that they had all the ball. Yeah. We couldn't keep the ball. No. And then they had the disallowed goal.
But they never looked a threat.
No.
So I think all right. They retained the ball really, really well, and we sort of contained them quite well.
Yeah, we did.
All I would say is I felt we was playing too deep.
Yeah.
And I thought we was sort of, although we was always going to do that, because we play counter and we've played counter now for however long.
Yeah.
I felt we were too deep, and I just felt like we needed to push up another 10 yards, which I think that's what we done in the second half.
We did. We came out straight away.
And it made a real big difference, didn't it?
100%. The goal. What about the goal? So obviously, from our point of view, right behind the goal, I actually went to the steps because I wanted to be first down to get a beer. Obviously, I wouldn't leave until the game was done. No. Ended up standing on the steps for about 8 minutes. It was ridiculous. But did you know it was offside?
I called it offside straight away. Yeah. But with our luck and VAR, I then stood there for the next 3 minutes, basically crapping myself, waiting for him to agree with what it was. Yeah. But it was offside. It was offside. There's no doubt about that. No. I still think Harry Oda could have done a little bit better. And I think the defence could have done a little bit better. Yeah. But in hindsight, you know, we got away with one.
Got away with it massively.
And then it was half time.
Massively. Yeah. I mean, look, like you said, we struggled to keep the ball. We didn't get out. But as soon as the second half started, you could see we stepped up about 10 yards.
Yeah.
And
Susek went up more as well, didn't they?
Paqueta pressed higher, Susek pressed higher. Whilst they still kept the ball, they had their first shot on target. I was just said in the previous bit with Tom, they had their first shot on target, I think about 10 minutes into the second half. And that was just out of nothing, and it was a crap shot straight into Ario's hands. Yeah. So the Pento. So again, from my spot, couldn't really. It was so quick. It happened so fast. Yeah. The fella was running, but we've seen Kufau's long throws to Bowen umpteen times, right? Yeah. And I think teams in the Prem have sussed it a bit.
Yeah, of course they have.
They have. Yeah. But I think it was done once last night, not last night, Wednesday night, and did it pay off?
You see a lot of people say that it was his arm momentum that done it. And from maybe one angle it looked like that, but from the other angle you could actually see that he put his arm forward in order to push the ball away. And I believe that because Bowen's touch was so good, and he'd out-strengthened him, so he got in front of him, and I think that Bowen may have got something out of it, you know? So for me it was a penalty. For me it was a penalty.
It definitely was a penalty based on the rules.
Yeah, definitely.
Because beforehand, because at the end of the day there's an argument as to whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah.
Right? So, because there's an argument, the current rule is if it hits your hand in the box, intentional or not, it's a pen. Did it hit his hand? Yes. Was his arm in an unnatural-ish position?
Yes.
You could argue.
Yes.
Ref give it. And you know, that goal, I mean, when it went in, what a pen. Geezer scored every pen he's taken for us this season.
Stood in the hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm like.
Yeah.
So I felt like the wait went on for the penalty. I watched it, and then he went over and looked at the screen, and then he done his bit, and then he pointed to the spot.
Yeah.
And I sort of then the nerves kick in.
Yeah.
So then I come to the hall, and then went back in the living room,
and then
went back out to the hall.
Do you know, I'll never forget the playoff final.
Yeah, I spent the last 10 minutes in the loo.
Literally. And I remember you pacing up to the back door, just standing in the garden, like Vazte's goal, when that went in. I mean, I don't know what it is. It seems to be a running theme with us in these big games, these late winners.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it in a second. So
it was a good pen.
Great pen.
It was a good pen. I sort of had my head round the door like that, and then I just went mental. Mental.
I was crying. I was in bits when that went in because I thought, oh my God, we're actually winning in the European final. They ain't had a sniff all game. No. I believed. Yeah. And then what was it? 3 minutes?
3 minutes later.
3-4 minutes later. I mean, nothing.
I think it was poor from us.
All round. I think it was bottom corner. But what disappointed me was, I think, Agurd in that position. He didn't want to commit. He was very focused on not handballing it. So he just planted his feet and put his hands behind his back. He really should have just thrown everything at it. He should have thrown his whole body at it, tried to put his arms down. He was too close anyway to be handball.
Yeah. I also think it was that classic couple of minutes after you've gone into the lead, little tiny lapses in concentration and
heart rate's up.
That's right. You're all buzzed up because you've just taken the lead and you just switch off for those couple of minutes. And Fiorentina, fair play to them, they took full advantage of it.
We've seen it so many times, and the commentators were saying it as well. They were saying, right, because we actually had a bit of a 2-minute spell, didn't we? After we scored, then Rama had the ball down the wing. We kept getting, we had a throw in and then a corner. And it was almost too much, wasn't it? It was too much. And then and
you knew they was going to do something.
That's when experience comes into play a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they switched on, and their fans were going nuts for about 10-15 minutes. For the first time, really, it was the only time,
watching it from the TV perspective, we were amazing. Our fans were out of this world. And the whole game, you could, it was like being at home because you could hear the singing and the chanting and everything was absolutely brilliant.
Especially after we scored for 3 minutes.
Yeah. After they scored, it just went deadly silent for a few minutes.
We were crap in it,
and it was squeaky bum time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was proper.
It was squeaky bum time, really. I think for about the next 10 or 15 minutes because
honestly,
we just couldn't then string two passes together. No. We couldn't retain the ball. We couldn't hold the ball up. Even the long kicks out from Ariola and all that, they was either going out or they was going straight to Fiorentina, and we couldn't do anything.
No, we couldn't do nothing. And then I think the defining moment was when Paqueta went down the left-hand side and he rinsed Milenkovic and he got pulled down. Yeah. I think that changed the game a little bit because it was like, hang on a minute, we've still got a bit about us here. It's not going to be all you for the rest of the game.
No, that's right.
And then we started winning second balls again. And I think what it was, so the coach likes to play high anyway, Italiano, right? I think we had an offside or a goal. It was a goal kick, and they pushed really high. They pushed up to the halfway line, right? Halfway line. I can't remember. I think it was a Gerd who won the header or Rice. It's gone to Susek who did some. What was that?
Sort of like
miskicked the ball.
Miskicked it with the back of his knee or something.
But luckily it landed at that man's feet.
Yeah, and it was world class.
Who might mess up 5 out of 10 passes, but the 5 he does make out of 10 will be spot on. I mean, he did it earlier in the half with Antonio. And he put him clean for Antonio. Was 5 yards offside.
But that pass was world class because not only did he have to time it with Bowen's run, but there was 2 Fiorentina centre backs, and there was a gap of about
2 yards.
A couple of yards, and it just went straight through the middle of them, perfect
weight of pass.
Right, and then I'm. It's like, right, and I'm thinking he's going to miss. He's going to miss.
It's just it took so long.
Yeah, it felt like it took about 5 minutes.
It took so long for the ball
and it took long
to get in the net.
Even after it hit the goalkeeper, it was as if it hit the goalkeeper's leg in slow motion and just done like that. But God, and then that was it. Then I couldn't watch.
No. Because do you know what? Because I do it every game I go to, away or home. If when the added time gets announced, mainly if we're winning, I'll get my phone out and I'll set a timer.
Yeah.
As soon as he announced the 5 minutes, I'll set the timer. But the trouble is with that, right? Yeah. My 5 minutes was bang on because when I set the timer, I set it after all the celebrations. Yeah. They didn't put the ball up for 5 minutes until like after the goal winning.
No, that's
so
right.
He actually played 5 minutes from.
See the BT Sport timer obviously started. But obviously, it said 5 minutes, but started whilst we was all celebrating.
Exactly.
When he'd stopped his clock.
So I that's why it didn't feel long for me because I set my timer off as I always do.
From when we started.
From when the game started playing again. So literally, he went to 5 minutes and 10 seconds on my timer, and that's when he called it. So when everyone talking to everyone after the game, like talking to you, and you was going 8 minutes, I'm like, what? Yeah. No, he did 5. Like it was bang on. No, but it was just what a goal, what a bit of composure.
What a way to win it. To actually win it in those last few minutes like that. It's the best way to win a football match. It's the best way to win a football match.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was all just a blur. I got a bit emotional.
Yeah.
And it was all just a complete blur after the final whistle. Yeah.
You're never going to forget it.
I'll never ever forget it.
No.
It was like going back 40 odd years, do you know what I mean? And I was that little boy that sat there and watched us win the FA Cup. And
you got your kids in Prague.
Yeah. And it was, do you know something? Watching it on the telly was one thing, right? I'd have loved to have been there, you know that, but circumstances I couldn't.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But to know that the three of you were out there watching it, was just absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And then you FaceTimed me. Yeah. And then Chloe FaceTimed me. And then I tried to get hold of Tom and FaceTime him, but he was amongst 25,000 nutcases, wasn't he? So he wouldn't have heard that anyway. But
just unreal.
But yeah, it was unreal. And a moment, just a moment that we'll never ever forget.
Never.
Ever.
No. Well, look, Dad, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, that's good.
We'll do more segments in the future.
Definitely. And great result. Let's go and improve on it next season.